All right, so a lot of you guys been getting stopped out or unable to predict what's going to happen to the market because you're not reading the news properly. One of the prime example recently was when we had the FOMC, Fed Chair Powell spoke. You guys had a misconception on what was going to happen, and I knew it was going to go down that way. I knew it. Unfortunately, a lot of you guys did not know how to act. So today we're gonna go over news and teach you guys how that can impact the market and how you can predict what's gonna happen based on certain announcements. So we're gonna focus on a couple of things today, non-farm payroll, consumer price index, and the most important FOMC meetings. Okay, so let's just go over to FX Street real quick. This is the source that I like to use just because it has a lot of the economic events already displayed on their website. So it makes it a lot more simple for us day traders who trade daily, full time. So let's look at this month, what happened. Okay. We had a lot of different stuff happen, but we're gonna focus on the most recent event, which happened. Where's Powell's speech? We had Fed Reserve Powell spoke. Oh, that's funny. They start locking some of the contents now. That's funny. They started locking some of the consensus. I've not seen that before. So we're looking for there it is. Fed FOMC economic projections. Fed interest rate decision. Okay, so the interest decision happened on December 10th, okay? Normally what happens before the news actually happens, we hear rumors of what's going to already happen. And a lot of these rumors will actually start to impact the market pre-news from being released, okay? So we're gonna touch back on how this will impact indexes and how this will impact cryptos. So anything that has a lot of risk, we're gonna go over how it impacts it. Okay. So we all knew the rumor was that we are going to see a 25 BP rate cut. Okay. So we all saw that coming. But we didn't know for sure. So let's just go over to what this day was. I actually forgot. I think it was December 10th. Yeah, so it was December 10th. So let's just go back, do an instant replay. All right. All right. So a couple of things typically happen when interest decision date. All right. So normally what happens is a couple of different things that can happen before the interest decision date. Market can pull back, market can pump, market will not stay sideways. Very unlikely. Now I'm going to tell you why the market will either pump or it will dump completely. So we're going to do two scenarios. Okay? Scenario A. I hate how TradingView changed the way you add in tools now, because before you could just add a single object and it would normally just go back to mouse, but now it just keeps adding more and more. So annoying. Okay, scenario A. Anticipation of good news coming out that will likely impact the market and positive note, people will take caution. When I say people, sorry, retail will take caution and pull out of their investment. Okay, this is scenario A. And then there's scenario B. Anticipation of rate cut will significant liquidity to the market. All right. Now here's a misconception. People think that if the news is positive, it will pump the market no matter what. That is actually highly false. What actually ends up happening sometimes, almost 100% of the times, the market will pump soon as people get words out that we're anticipating a rate cut. Because before the actual announcement, a lot of times the insiders and the news reporters and journalists will announce, "Hey guys, the Fed is looking to cut interest rates." So I don't know who actually does all the reporting. I'm assuming journalists, but credible sources like Bloomberg and FX News and FX3 that sources other credible news networks will come out with articles. And remember, these news articles are pretty legit. Like they are almost 100% of the time on point. So a lot of times when we see these news, the market will almost 100% of the times will pump, right? And these are the times you want to be very careful when you enter into sell positions. And a lot of people, what they do is they think if they're just really good at trading the technicals, you'll be fine and you'll make a lot of money. This is actually highly false because if you're not on top of the news and you don't know what's going on in the economics, you could be trading on a day where Fed Powell is supposed to speak or like 30 minutes before Powell speaks, and then you get completely wiped out because you're making the wrong trading decisions. Okay. So my rule of thumb that I've been telling everybody, all my students, never get caught with your pants down. Okay? Guys, never get caught with your pants down. When you're trading, you have to be familiar with all your surroundings. Okay? It's like going into a war and not realizing what the enemies were capable of. You have to study the war, you have to study the enemy, you have to study what is likely to happen. And in this case, our war is the financial markets. We have to know what the financial market's capable of before we enter into the war, which is the chart, right? Because every single day we get into the chart, it's a war between us traders versus the trading the chart, the market, right? So almost 100% of the time, soon as we get the news, we will see pre-pump. All right. Now these scenarios are pre-scenarios. Okay. So I'm gonna highlight the fact that these are pre-scenarios. Now, what does it mean by pre-scenario? Pre-scenario means the event has not occurred yet. Okay. Now we're gonna look at post-scenario. What could happen after? Now I'm gonna give everybody here a quick chance to see if they can anticipate what will happen if what happens. So I'm gonna just ask you guys, and remember, guys, if you don't try to answer this on your own, um, I will be posting this later on. So for those viewers that are watching, just put it in the comment section if you are. I want you to answer and write it down. Write down your answer and see if we can predict this accordingly. So post scenario A. Hypothetically, let's say we got a rate cut. So the anticipation is the rate cut is 25 BP, right? Let's say the rate cut was actually 50 BP. So when higher than an anticipated number, what will happen to the market? I need every single one of you to answer, or you will be removed from the meeting. I'm not kidding you. Every single person has to answer. What will happen to the market? Will it A, go up? Will it B, go down? Will it C, be choppy? What will happen to the market if hypothetically the interest decision meeting came out and it was decided by the FOMC committee that we're actually doing 50 BP rate cut? What will happen? I need everybody to answer this question. If you do not answer, you will be removed from this meeting. I'm not joking. So scenario A, will it pump drastically? Scenario B, will it dump drastically? Scenario C, will it be choppy? Which will it be, ladies and gentlemen? I need everyone to answer. Need everyone to answer this right now, or you will be removed from the meeting immediately, and you will be banned from my next meetings. Need everyone to get this properly. Okay, so right now I'm seeing in the chat that pretty much everyone said A. Normally most of you guys are wrong. And I see that Derek is only one that said C. Okay. Keep in mind that no matter how much we try to predict the market, end of the day, the market will do what it wants to do. But almost 100% of the time, when we beat expectations, gold, US 30, Bitcoin, Ethereum, alongside with maybe some of the other large altcoins, will all follow the same pattern. It will break out of its recent high and create a new high almost 100% of the times. So post scenario, FOMC decides 50 BP was necessary. In this case, we had beaten the anticipated 25 BP and market will pump. All right, so this is post scenario number, well, scenario A. Post scenario B. Now, this is where we're gonna make a crap. This is where I have effectively made the most amount of money I've ever made trading. This next scenario right here. People think it's scenario A where you will make the most amount of money. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. Okay, so post scenario B, the announcement comes out, FOMC decides the financial market is fine, and we do not need any further rate cuts at this time due to the current inflation rate. Okay, so the FOMC decides to backtrack on their initial thoughts. The initial reporting of the journalists speculating that we're anticipating 25 BP was slashed completely. We're halting the anticipated 25 BP rate cut. What will happen to the market? I swear to you, if not 100% of you guys get this answer, I am gonna throw my laptop out the window right now. Gonna literally throw my phone, my laptop out the window, and you guys will never hear from me again because at this point, okay, so what will happen? What will happen? Can anyone just give me like a rough idea what will happen to crypto? What will happen to US 30? What will happen to gold? What will happen to USD, the US dollar index? What do you think will happen? I'm not seeing Sashalin answer her questions. I need Sash to start answering.
Sorry, we're
Where is
actually
Sash?
answering on the Zoom chat.
You guys already know better to not
I
use
know on
Zoom.
Discord.
It's
Sorry.
always Discord
Yeah,
from the history of
sorry.
all.
Sorry. I'm doing the same thing as Jennifer. I'm messaging in the Zoom chat. My bad.
Jen, you're so fired. Jen, you're fired.
So
Uh,
my answers are there and they're pretty correct with Jennifer. My bad. So
What was the answer since you guys are on mic? What was the answer?
I was joking around. I said it will pump and dump.
Jen,
technically
you're
it
so
is true.
fired. Jen, you're so fired.
I
All
said
right.
it would pump and then dump too. However, I don't want to say too much on the recording just
No.
by something
No,
that
this
happened
it's
earlier.
not
But
gonna pump. We're
it's
we're
gonna
it's
dump.
the
It's gonna
furthest from
dump.
pump. It's not gonna dump. It's gonna crash. We're
Okay.
not talking a dump anymore. We're not talking a regular dump anymore. We're gonna see a crash. So scenario B, because like this is the worst possible case scenario outcome for the financial markets. Okay. So anyone who is holding Ethereum, Bitcoin, any type of altcoin, I'm gonna tell you exactly what will happen to your holdings. First of all, um, here let's just go over what BTC is at. Okay, let's say BTC is at $90,289, right? If this scenario had occurred, we wouldn't be at 90,000 right now. We'd be at 78,000 BTC, 78 to 80,000 BTC. That's what it would very likely be under 80,000 right now. Ethereum, you would be sitting at between 2,600 to 2,700 Ethereum. All these altcoins that you see right now, it would be in reds, approximately between 10 to 25% if FOMC decides to backtrack. Because not only they decided to not cut the rates, we've already had a pre-pump already, ladies and gentlemen. We had a pre-pump already. Remember, crypto market follows suit with the Dow Jones and the stock market nowadays. Okay, so if the crypto, if stock market and the ETF futures market crashes, what will happen to crypto? I'll tell you this, if Nvidia stock crashes, you're gonna see bleeding effect into crypto. That's how bad it will be impacted. Okay, now let's see what happened once the rate cut was announced. Look, we had that huge pump on December 10th on the S&P and US 30. S&P and US 30 is essentially the same thing, except S&P is measuring the 500 Fortune 500 companies, whereas in US 30 is the top 30 companies in the United States, right? So because the entire financial sector is relied upon the stock market of S&P and US 30. If this market crashes, you're gonna see the bleeding effect into crypto 10 times worse. And because we had this pre-pump already, right? In this scenario, we had a little bit of pre-pump before even leading up to the market announcement, because this pump already started to happen on the date of December 10th. I'm not sure how many of you guys were trading US 30, but anybody who was trading US 30 that day, you were making money left, right, and center because all you were doing is just buying and buying and buying. You would not have lost a single position all day. Had you just placed multiple buys, you would have just won like probably 30 consecutive US 30 trades, right? And as you all aware, US 30 moves extremely fast. So there's a lot of money to be made with US 30. So post scenario B, FOMC decides to backtrack on their initial thoughts and committee decides to halt further rate cut. How is this financially beneficial to us traders? How would you navigate them? What do you think we should do as traders based on this anticipation? So this happened, okay? It caught us with our pants down. Literally, this is like literally getting hit with a frigging tsunami. But how can we leverage this situation and turn it into our favor and make a boatload of money. How can everyone answer in general chat? What can we do to make a crap ton of money to a point where you're not even able to believe yourself on how much money you just made? How would we leverage this news? Can anyone care to guess? Because remember, us traders, we can go either direction, right? It's not like holding stocks. We don't have to just go up or down, right? Need everybody to collectively answer the exact same answer, I swear to you. If not one person gets this wrong, that is correct. So all of you guys are right. Sell stop is correct. Just selling is correct. You will make, it's basically infinite money glitch at this point. If this actually, so believe it or not, this news coming out, do you think it's beneficial to us or you think it'll be negative to us? Like us seeing this news. Let's say we're on top of the news, right? Us reading this news article, do you think it can be beneficial to us or will it be negative? It will be extremely beneficial to us traders. Extremely. This is like A tier, S tier type of news. This is like every trader's dream. Well, like good traders, sorry. Well, my apologies. All the terrible traders or people that are not into actual trading, all these like fake MLMers and all these like affiliates who are just promoting, some nonsense courses and selling, nonsense courses. Like to those guys, this will be a nightmare because they're probably trying to trade and they'll get wrecked this day. However, a Skynet trading community where we're top tier traders and we're actually learning everything to the T, guess what? You guys are going to be prepared and you will not get caught with your pants down because I put belt on you motherfuckers. So when this actually drops, you guys are probably going to be the only ones equipped with the knowledge to properly execute and snipe the fuck out of this trade, and you will essentially print unlimited amount of money if you do this properly. You're going to wake up so profitable that you're not going to know what to do with your new recent found earnings. And I'm saying this with the anticipation that you will actually know how to react to these market conditions when the time comes, right? Look at what happens. Look at what happens when you listen, right? So the Feds actually cut the 25 BP. Market pumps like crazy. So post scenario post scenario B. Need to type in post scenario B. C. FOMC kept their words, decides on the predicted 25 BP. Surprise. I think you guys already know where I'm going with this. All right, post scenario number C, letter C. FOMC kept their words and decides on their predicted 25 BP rate cut. However, we had a shocking announcement. They announced, well, Jerome Powell announced himself, the man himself who single-handedly has the power to make me go completely bankrupt overnight or rich. That man came out and said, we're actually going to start quantitative easing. Okay, quantitative easing basically means that they're now going to start accumulating assets, start buying back bonds, start buying back ETFs, futures, right? That means the government is now going to start investing back into the financial sector. Now, what does this mean? This means liquidity, right? Liquidity. And liquidity is like literally the number one thing for us people in the financial market. On top of that, he said 40 billion starting December 12th, actually today, will be invested. Fact check me if you don't believe me. I know my shit. I'm actually a real trader, so I actually follow up on this. I guarantee you, go message your favorite influencer on Instagram, ask him about quantitative easing, ask him about FOMC, asking about rate cuts. All these friggin' fake influencer with their showing off Lamborghini, rented Ferraris, rented Airbnbs. I promise you, go message those mentors right now. Ask him about FOMC meeting minutes. Ask him about 50 BP rate cuts. Ask him about, did we have quantitative easing? What is quantitative easing? I guarantee you, 0% of them know what the hell anything you guys are talking about. In my eyes, everyone on this call and everyone who's gonna see this recap is gonna be a lot more equipped and financially literate than half of these fake traders that you will see on the internet. So don't believe everything you see. You guys are now effectively a better trader, more of a professional trader than 99.9% of population, and that includes those fake traders. Okay? You guys are now considered the top 1% of traders if you know these stuff, because these stuff will give you a market edge. You know, like how when you go to the casino, casino has the edge and they will always win almost 100% of the time because they have the numbers on their side. Well, this is our way of having the house edge against the market. We will now know things that the house doesn't. House is the market. We are the traders. We're the people coming in to this market to try and win money. How do we take a percentage edge over the house, which is the market? We understand the economics and be financially literate so that you're better equipped with the market, right? So quantitative easing happens and that announced on the 10th, and it literally threw the US 30 into the stratosphere. It's gone up like at least what is it, almost 1,000 points, right? You could literally make some pretty penny right here. Just even doing 0.01 lot size, you would have made hundreds, if not thousands, over and over and over if you scalped it and day traded and sniped it using Cypher or your personal trading. I don't know whatever technique that you use, but eventually you would have accumulated some decent profit there. Okay. So whenever the Fed talks about quantitative easing, we know the market will pump. Now, what do you think would have happened if they did the 25 BP rate cut and they actually said we're actually going to halt quantitative easing. We're not adding to the balance sheet. We're going to hold off and at this current time we cannot make any comments on wanting to add further assets to our balance sheet, which basically means quantitative tightening is continuing. What do you think that means to the market? Need everybody to answer. Everyone to answer. So 25 BP still happened. However, FOMC or Jerome Powell said we're not going to start quantitative easing. We're continuing to quantitative tight, which means we're not adding to the balance sheet. What does this mean? How will this impact the market? Need everybody to answer this right now. Need everybody to answer. What will happen? We still had a 25 BP rate cut. Are we gonna see market being choppy? Are we gonna see market pumping? Are we gonna see market dumping? I was waiting for this moment. I was waiting to catch you guys slipping. I was waiting to catch you guys with your pants down. And again, me, the market, caught you with your pants down. Mr. Derek Fung, Miss Alex, Miss Sash, Mr. Kev, Miss Rebecca, you guys all just got caught with your pants down. All you guys just lost money. Congratulations. Actually, no, Rebecca didn't lose money. Rebecca made money. All right, so I'm gonna tell you guys something here. I'm gonna give you guys a free game. Well, it's not really free because all you guys pay for this shit, but free no, free game added to the non-free game. Um, Generally, when we get a mixed news, but one of the bad news is really bad or equally like bad. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say you go to work. Let's say you go to work 10 times in a row and you clock in right on time, right? Let's say you guys have a you guys have jobs, right? You guys go into work and you guys are on time, like punctual. You come 30 minutes before your clock in, 10 shifts in a row. But you came late once. Are they going to look at the 10 times you were on time, or are they gonna look at the one time you were late? I want you to understand that concept. That's how it's applied into the markets. There could be 10 good things happening. If the one thing goes wrong, they're gonna call you out. So that's how the market acts, because the market always overreacts whenever something goes bad. So what will happen is if the quantitative tightening continued, this right here, this green bar would have went that way. We would see that right now. We would have seen that if they said we're going to continue on with the quantitative tightening. They wouldn't say now keep in mind that being financially literate, you have to be able to interpret what they're saying. They did not, Jerome Powell at no given point says the word quantitative easing because they're trained not to say these specific words. Now, what they will say is this. They will say we're not going to add further into our balance sheet, which means quantitative tightening. And if they say we are going to add more asset into our balance sheet, it means quantitative easing. That's what that means. Okay, so I want you guys to write that down. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, ChatGPT it, figure it out. That's why I know I get paid big dollars to teach you guys all this valuable information. All right. So that's pretty much it. Um, so post scenario C, quantitative easing happened. We're in profit. Post scenario D, if FOMC kept their words but decided to tighten the quantitative, right? The balance sheets, it is going to not add to the balance sheet. It is going to crash the market, and we would have seen a catastrophic losses to all these cryptos that you see on the right side. You would have seen catastrophic losses, at which point we would have entered into a sell stop and made lots of money. So that's pretty much it. So that being said, let me just end the recording real quick.